Díire cho contribuo, Fod G, Global Impact.
Hello from Vermont in the United States. Welcome to Global Impact.
Hola, mi nombre es Sheila Escobedo. Me encuentro en la ciudad de Guatemala. Bienvenidos a la conferencia de Impacto Global.
مرحبا من اسطنبول وأهلا وسهلا بجلوبال إمباكت.
مرحبا، معكم سوسن من شيكاغو فلسطين. أهلا وسهلا بجلوبال إمباكت.
Saludos desde Santiago en Chile y bienvenido o bienvenida a Global Impact.
Hello from White Plains, New York in the United States. Welcome to Global Impact.
Pozdrowienia z Glasgow w Szkocji. Witaj w Global Impact.
Hello from Charlotte, North Carolina in the United States. Welcome to Global Impact.
Hello et bonjour from Alberta, Canada. Welcome to Global Impact.
Hello from Montreal and welcome to Global Impact.
Hello from Houston, Texas in the United States. Welcome to Global Impact.
Hello from Lynchburg, Virginia in the United States. Welcome to Global Impact.
Tina koutou katoa, no mai harimai ki te Global Impact. He mihi nui kia koutou mai I turanga nui a kiwa Aotearoa.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Preet Kennedy. Bonjour, je m'appelle Preet Kennedy. Je suis la chef du conseil étudiante à l'école d'Australie et je vous souhaite la bienvenue à la conférence sur l'impact international.
Hi, my name is Sophie. I'm the sub-head girl student council at a school called The Study based in Montreal. We hope that you enjoy the Global Impact Conference.
Yes.
Welcome to the Global Impact Virtual Conference, everyone. I'm Rawan Al-Adawi from Lebanon. I'm a member of the Global Impact organizing team, and I'm a host for this session. This year, our theme is elevating the human story, putting human stories back at the heart of education. Through amplifying global educator voices, we will explore storytelling as pedagogy, leadership, and ethical technology use, connecting classrooms worldwide and centering dignity, equity, and lived experiences in learning. We want to begin with a message of peace in these turbulent times at Global Impact. We believe that education is one of the most powerful forces for peace in the world, across borders, languages, and cultures. We come together not to agree on everything, but to listen, to learn, and to build something better together. In a time where division is easy, we choose connection. In a world that often speaks loudly, we choose to understand deeply. Each voice in this conference represents not just a country, but a commitment to compassion, curiosity, and shared humanity. Peace is not just something we wait for, it is something we practice through dialogue, through collaboration, and through the work we do with our students every day. This is our Global Impact. I'm honored to be part of the Global Impact community. Today, we have 34 presenters, 17 organizers working behind the scenes, all representing 22 countries across 6 continents. And that doesn't include all of you, the incredible participants who have joined us today in these sessions. When people from this many backgrounds and experiences come together, powerful things happen. Today isn't just about sharing ideas, it's about sparking connections, challenging perspectives, and driving meaningful change forward. Now, let's kick off with our first session. This session is in English. If you need to turn on the captions, please do so by following the instructions that you see in the chat or even on the screen right now. We have an incredible lineup of speakers today, and this session's presenter is one of them. We have 2 of them. I'm honored to represent to you Kamal Preet and Simar Mohanty. Kamal Preet is a National Geographic certified educator and lifelong learner from Bangalore, India. Is the mentor of the SDG Warriors. She's a former middle school science and computer science teacher. She specializes in STEM, global goals, gamification, and social emotional learning. Drawing on her expertise as a Microsoft ML alumni and a former a former educator innovation lead, Kamal designs practical learning experiences that foster engagement, global collaboration, and student agency through technology and storytelling. Which brings me to Simar Mohanty, team lead of the SDG Warriors. Welcome, Simar, and founding member of the Human Intelligence Movement. Is a student change maker dedicated to the UN's SDG goals, Sustainable Development Goals. Leveraging her skills in communication and storytelling, she amplifies student perspectives through global initiatives and the SDG Warriors podcast, empowering others to be the change. Come on, the floor is yours, Kamal, Preet, and Simar Mohanty. Let's start this conference.
Awesome. So I hope that you're able to see my screen and my silly photos. Awesome. So an hour ago, I was in a cinema right here in Bangalore, attending a live viewing of the BTS Arirang World Tour from the Tokyo Dome, being streamed live from Japan. And I was surrounded by lots of strangers. We didn't know each other, and it felt like we knew each other for ages. We were all connected to thousands of people around the world through a shared message of peace and togetherness. And that is a connection that we need now more than ever. And this happened all because we share the same global language of music and pop culture. And I hope that the same energy remains for this presentation as well. So I see that we made an exhibition about memes, and that sounds super interesting. So the most effective teaching tool of the last decade that was not made by an edtech company. It was designed by a curriculum board. It wasn't designed by them. It was made by teenagers on the internet. And today we are going to prove that to you. And we are going to build one before the session ends as well. This is Memefication of storytelling in the global classroom. So let's get right into it.
Okay, so first, a quick disclaimer. Before we begin, humor is powerful, but it is also relative. Because what's funny in Bangalore might be cringe in Berlin. And what Gen Z finds hilarious, a room full of teachers like me might find it baffling. And that's fine. Here's what really matters. Even with the best intentions, a joke can still land wrong. And when it does, what are we supposed to do? Okay, first, stop wherever you are, acknowledge, apologize, and move on. Because here's the thing, humor should bring people into the room, not push anyone out. And yes, there will be cringe in this session, and that's part of it. Moving on to Simar.
Alright, so before humans could write, they painted on cave walls. And before they could print, they told stories around fires. And before the internet, they had books, they had TV, they had radio. And after the internet, they got memes during the internet, by the way. But here's the thing that people miss, that every culture already had this. Panchatantra tales in India, Grimm's fairy tales in Germany, Anansi stories in West Africa, shared stories that carry identity, values, humor, even resistance. Now, that is what we call folklore. Stories that belong to everyone, that mutate every time someone retells a tale. And memes do exactly the same thing with a different medium but following the same mechanism. And one thing connects all of it. From cave paintings that you see right over here to the TikTok memes that you see on your right. The one most powerful thing, there's nothing more powerful than relatability. 6-7. This phrase has no clear meaning. Dictionary.com, it made it their word of the year of 2025. Everybody uses it, but nobody can explain it. In fact, even in my class, behind me, roll number 67 sits, and I never miss a chance to look at her with a grin, and she grins back as well. Rickroll, a song from 1987. A 60-year-old in Ohio and a 15-year-old in Hyderabad both have been rickrolled. No translation needed at all. There's no shared language needed. Just shared experience. Chicken Jockey from the Minecraft movie back in April 2025. That movie, when the clip dropped, Gen Z and Gen Alpha across every continent had a shared reference overnight. And what that shows us is that humor, it does not need a passport. It crosses borders that language can't. Through which I would like to reiterate the fact nothing is more powerful than relatability. So let's look at the anatomy of a meme. What exactly is a meme anyway, bro? They're not just funny pictures. Richard Dawkins coined the word in 1976 as a unit of culture that spreads from person to person through imitation. And that was decades before the internet existed. But look at the equation on the screen. You would see that the template, it's the recognizable format. Context is what the creator adds. Remix is how the audience adapts to it. And then that's also how folklore works. A story template gets passed along. Each teller, they add their own context, and the audience, they remix it for their own community. It's the same equation. We just didn't have a name for it until Dawkins. So moving on to the functions of digital culture. 5 things that meme actually do. First is humor. It provides pure entertainment. For example, Patrick Star opening an exam paper. There's no deeper meaning, they're just vibes. Then we have identity, where I see you, bro. South Indian breakfast memes, hostel food memes. They say that you're not alone. Someone else lives this experience as well, no matter where they are in the world. And then we have resistance, speaking truth to power through jokes. That's a recession indicator. Gen Z naming economic anxiety out loud because humor is how you survive through something that you cannot fix. It's a coping mechanism for a lot of people. Then we have education, explaining something complex in one image that a whole paragraph couldn't. Awareness, humor acts as the door into a serious conversation. Whether it's climate, mental health, burnout, you laugh first and then you think. In fact, the global goals and the United Nations have been sharing memes on their own pages as well to raise awareness on the SDGs. Oh, I see now. This is what a meme actually means. So now let's look at the meme taxonomy. Now we have first the image macro. This is your classic, the top text, bottom text on a photo. It's the OG. You have Drake and distracted boyfriend templates where a single image, it captures a universal emotional reaction. Then you have the text-based ones where it's pure words and no images. These are mostly found through Twitter or X screenshots where you have nobody, absolutely nobody, and then the main hook, setups. Minimalist storytelling, basically. Then we have video and audio. This is through Reels, through TikTok sounds, earworm audio that travels across completely different clips. Remember Jet to Holiday? And then we have the newest AI-generated brain rot. Ballerina, Cappuccina, Bombardino, Crocodilo. And characters that didn't even exist 6 months ago, and now they have millions of views and memes on top of them. The formats, they keep on evolving. However, the mechanism underneath it always stays identical. So now let's open up the burn book of memes. Now you can think of memes as a pyramid or even simpler as concentric circles. There are many ways to explain this idea. Innermost can be your own room, starting with you. The meme that you sent to your best friend at 2 a.m. Nobody outside that chat needs to understand it, and that's the point. Inside jokes, better connections. The next ring can be your community and your fandom. For example, if you're BTS Army, you know every member meme. If you're not, then you're completely lost. If you're a fan of K-pop, you would get Sunghoon as compared to getting Rickrolled. If you play chess, the brilliant move sound from chess.com, it hits different. And then the hyper-specific shared language is what makes communities feel like home. And honestly, the insider feeling of getting that fandom meme is exactly what good teaching feels like. And then you have the local, Swalpa Ajasmari. And then in Bangalore, you have it. You have to live it. There are memes on traffic. Nationally, you have CBSE board exam memes. Every Indian student nods. Every Indian parent winces. And at the top, you have the international one, which everybody understands. The Drake format, distracted boyfriend, this is fine. This travels, because the feeling is universal. Same template, infinite local versions. Back to you, Miss Kamal.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, teachers, I want you to look at this one slide because here's where all the meat is. I need you to remember this one because everything else is context. This is the tool. Look, there are two ways in which we can use memes. So the first one is where you're going to use memes as content. I show a meme, the meme explains the content. There's no explanation, no instructions from my end. The students simply look at the meme and they get it. So it's almost like a visual story, a visual shortcut. So over here, the student is the audience. I'll just look at this example that we have, okay, where we are talking about physics, the first law of Newton's first law. So the students just get it. An object at rest stays at rest. And just imagine children on a Sunday morning, they just get it, no explanation needed. And the second time of meme that we have is when meme is used as an activity. So the students make the meme. So the art of creating it is the learning. It's not, I'm not testing whether they can report, they can repeat a definition or not. I'm actually checking whether they've understood the concept well enough in order to compress it into an image, and on top of that they're going to add a punchline. So over here the student is the author. I want you guys to focus on the World War I group chat on screen. Okay, this is again a meme which was made by a student, and notice over here how he's able to pull all, he has to understand the entire sequence of events and all the countries which were a part of that meme. And in order to do this, he has to understand the alliance system well enough to sequence it, to compose it, and also to make it funny. So that's not low-level work. That is synthesis. So type 1 opens a topic, and type 2, it closes the topic. Use both.
All right, I think it's back to me. So now let's look at a few examples as to how memes can be linked to different subjects that we see in schools, universities, in workplaces, and miscellaneous ones as well. So first up, we have world languages. Language learning is built on comparison. For example, in English, we say hospital. In French, we say something else. In German, we say Krankenhaus. The meme writes itself. And the move is basically a side-by-side contrast. Any vocabulary list, any grammar rule, line up two languages and the absurdity. That is the punchline and the key to decode memes for world languages. And next up, we have social studies. That's a nice nation you got there. Be ashamed if someone discovers it. History is full of irony, and we know the ending. The historical figures did not. And the move over here is the dramatic irony. Putting a historical figure in a modern template and letting the audience's knowledge of what happens next, that can do most of the work. Next up, we have for physics. An object, like Kamal ma'am mentioned, an object stays at rest until and unless an external force acts upon it. With a photo of someone refusing to leave their bed, physics laws describes the universe as well as your Sunday morning or any other holiday as well. The move is basically literal metaphors. You take the law, you apply it to everyday life, and the law becomes a joke. The physics is the humor. Next up, we have chemistry. Sodium explodes in water. Chlorine was a chemical weapon. And together, when these powerful forces come together, they make table salt. Elements already have personalities. You just have to let them talk. And here, your secret key is personification. Give an element a dialogue based on their actual properties, and the periodic table becomes a cast of characters. I can literally imagine this being put into today's memes context, where you have the banging skeleton and you can showcase sonority of an element using that. Next up, we have math. 5 is called Fünf. 15 is called Fünfzehn, and 555, well, that's hard to pronounce. Math anxiety is possibly the most universal human experience after heartbreak. And the move over here is escalation. You can start simple and then you can add complexity and then watch the panic grow. When you name the fear, you actually disarm it. And that's one of the best ways to use humor. Next up, we have computer science. When the code compiles on the first try and you don't know why, if the code is working, no matter how it looks like, do not touch it at all. The code either works or it doesn't, and the emotional swing between those two states, it's violent. The move over here is binary drama. Input, expected output, actual output. Coding already is a meme template. And you can also experiment with different programming languages. For example, somebody can be, let me be the semicolon in your life. And then the guy says, no, but I code in Python. And if you actually are studying Python or C language, in fact, you would get to know and understand the meme. Next is biology. If you are a part of the Stray Kids fandom, also called as stays, like me, if the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, then music is what powerhouses us through hell, as coined by their leader, Bangchan. This meme becomes more famous than the fact because it's famous in a fandom. So if your class is full of stays, they would love this meme. That tells you something about how memory works as well. The move over here is sequential transformation. Biology, it has processes with different stages. And stages, they are just like comic panels which are waiting to happen. Mitosis is 4 frames. DNA versus RNA is a side-by-side frame, as you can see in this slide over here. Now back to Miss Kamal.
Okay, I'll just add an insight over there because every meme across these 7 slides is a type 1. The teacher shows the meme and the meme does the explanation. She doesn't have to explain anything. However, if you were to flip it, you were to ask the students to make these from the different lessons that they are studying, it would be the same meme, but completely different cognitive type. So that's type 2. You just need to take type 1, flip it for type 2. Moving on to you, Simar.
All right, so now let's enter my field, engineering, featuring electronics and communication. Conductor, resistor, inductor, capacitor, transistor. There's so many more that you can add. It's based on your creativity. It always evolves and mutates like memes always do. And every EC student has seen this. The pun is dumb. It's seriously stupid when you think about it, but it makes you laugh. It's like dad jokes. The retention is real. The move over here is pun structures, and I absolutely love puns. Engineering jargon accidentally sounds like everyday words, and the accident is a memorization gift. Another way that you can apply this concept is by doing something ridiculous, adding a ridiculous law to a ridiculous image. For example, apply Kirchhoff's law to this. Seriously? Now we move on to the adult workspace. Wi-Fi says connected, but then there's no internet. And just before this session, before I entered the studio, this was happening with me. So I know the frustration. Deadlines when they're approaching while meetings multiply or classes multiply in terms of a student. Memes, they only don't stop at your graduation. The move over here is shared trauma and shared suffering. Name the thing that everybody feels but nobody says in those meetings. What people meme about anonymously, it is the honest feedback loop that no HR firm in the universe will ever give you. And then you have the miscellaneous ones. For example, me calling my mom because I'm an adult, but she is a premium adult pro max. So not everything, it maps to a learning objective. Experiment to build connections. Sometimes a meme is just the thing that makes your classroom or your friend circle feel more human. And that's permission, and that's not copying out. Back to Miss Kamal.
Okay. So let's move. So your students already speak this language. They speak the language of memes, of remixes, of reels. And that's not a distraction. That's literacy. It's how they process the world, argue with it, and they make sense of it. The question isn't whether it's this type of language belongs in the classroom. It's already there, whether we like it or not. The question is whether we are going to use it or keep pretending that it doesn't matter. Now, this framework makes it count. There are 3 layers. Number 1, read it. What does the meme literally show? Okay, no context, no culture, nothing. What does the image show? That's pure comprehension. The second thing is to decode it. What do you need to know to get the joke? What are the references? What is the community? What is the lived experience does it assume? This is where it gets powerful, because this layer is different for every single child in your class. And one meme can have 40, 45 different readings. The difference isn't a problem, that's a lesson. And number 3 is author it. What would your community put there? Remix the template with your context, your subject, and your experience. The student stops consuming and starts creating knowledge. So let me reiterate that. Read, decode, author. That's comprehension, analysis, and synthesis pressed in a language that students already think in. That's not dumbing down. That's meeting rigor where it actually lives. Let's move on to the next one. This is so important, ethical authorship. So power without guardrails, it is reckless. Here are 5 questions that each one of us needs to ask ourselves before we put anything out as a meme. So every time, it is a non-negotiable. Number 1 is the origin. Does the template carry a history that I need to understand before I use it? Number 2, it is representation. Am I speaking for a community that I don't really belong to? Can I speak on their behalf? Number 3, power. Does this punch up at the system, okay, which is allowed, or does it punch down on people? Not allowed. Accuracy. Can I source this claim? Is it actually true, whatever I'm putting in the meme? Number 5, audience. How does this land outside my classroom, my city, and my country? So these 5 questions are what separate a teacher just using memes versus a teacher using memes effectively, properly. And they're the reason this works, memefication works, and stays safe.
That's enough of theory. I've been talking so much. Now let's actually get to some practical, some hands-on. We are going to build a meme right now, all of us. For this, you would need a phone or a laptop and a browser. That's it. It'll take just 30 seconds to do, honestly speaking. So let me just go to this website. Now, this website is called ImageFlip, imgflip.com. So once you arrive there, let me just zoom out a bit. Yeah, once you arrive there, you will be greeted with this screen. Let's click on Make a Meme. So there'll be lots of templates from which you can choose from. This was the distracted boyfriend one, which we saw, or the surprise koala, or this button or that button. We are getting so much of difficulty in choosing which one. And then the distracted boyfriend, which I mentioned like numerous times during the session. But let me go for something which I consumed recently today. So let me think about, okay, so this is fine meme. So I'm just going to type this is fine. Okay, and you will get lots of templates over here. You can sort them as GIFs only or as static images. So I'm going to choose this is fine one. And now I need to think about a topic which I could memify. So I'm feeling to do biology. So I'm going to go ahead with something related to mitosis or meiosis. So cells undergoing uncontrolled mitosis. Okay, so let me just write it here. So one scenario can be this one. Cell undergoing uncontrolled mitosis. And then the next one can be the irony of that can be cancer cells, basically, because when mitosis occurs, that time cancer cells, they're going to be like, this is just fine, even though it's all around them. So I'm just going to say cancer cells, basically. I just hope I didn't kill that part, because I know when you just explain the joke, it takes up the whole meaning and it just cringifies everything. I hope I didn't do that, and I hope what I'm trying to convey is being conveyed and communicated properly. So yeah, this is the meme which I have created. You can change the colors, you can play along, and then you can use the original image resolutions, which is actually lower in case of this template. And of course, if you want, you can keep this meme private as well, and then you click on generate meme, and now it's generated and you can download the image and it gets downloaded. Now, this was basically how you create a meme. It's super fast, super simple. In fact, you can experiment with a lot more templates and you can find featured this is fine memes. Of course, you would have to go through certain ethical guardrails and see which is most appropriate for the situation that you're in. But there's lots of things, lots of humor, lots of types, lots of perspectives and lenses that you can take inspiration from by browsing through these as well. And lots of templates again, like this one or this one. Now this does not fit, so you would have to evaluate and see what best fits the message that you're trying to communicate. So that was basically the simple tutorial. I'm not going to make it more hard. So we are done with the tutorial. Now it's your turn. Uno reverse. We need to just review the steps once. So you go to imageflip.com/meme generator. You can go to that or just image flip, and then you'll get that option. You pick a trending template, any of them, anything that you have seen recently on Instagram or TikTok. Select one. Once the topic is selected, just type the text. You can even ask if there's certain framing that you're not sure about. You can ask AI as well. As long as it's not violating any ethical guidelines, I mean, you can use that, because humor is meant to connect people no matter how we do it. And then you hit generate meme, and then once it's done, you download it and drop it into this Padlet. That is your call to action for today. So this is the Padlet right now. This is how the Padlet looks like right now. So okay, is my screen being shared? Let me just, okay, yes, it is being shared. Awesome. So just drop your memes over here, and I would love to see them, scroll through them, and look at the world through your perspective, because that's, again, shared understanding, relatability, better connections. So now that we are done, you have 5 minutes to make a meme. No, let's make it 2. You have 2 minutes to make a meme. So go ahead, make it, scan the QR code, and drop it. We'll be looking forward to see your memes. So should I just wait for 2 minutes? No, I think you guys will do it anyways. So I'm just going to go back so that you can scan this QR code. And of course, I would like to also say that the memes that we have compiled, I know we couldn't stop on one slide for like a lot of time. So if you're watching this on demand, just pause and go through them. You will have a good laugh. At least I hope you have a good laugh and it's not that cringy. Now let's go back to Miss Kamal. That's your cue.
Okay, thank you so much, Simar. Now, yeah, let's move on to, yeah, I can see the slide is on, point on. Now, here are 4 icebreakers, okay, that you can use right now, okay, right now in your class. The 4 of them: pick your mood, guess the subject, local versus global, finish the meme. These are 0 prep, all first day of the class ready, and here's the long game. Okay, you just need to have 1 meme per lesson. In an entire semester, you have at least 10 to 20 lessons which are there. Okay, and that's not just a gimmick, that's curriculum, and it has been built by you. It is owned by your classroom, and you can reuse it every year. You don't need a policy change. You just need 1 lesson and 1 template. So you can start Monday. And yeah.
Okay, so I think that the first meme lesson, it'll probably be super awkward, and you may feel that a particular template is outdated. A joke won't land, someone will groan, and that's completely fine. That's what makes us human, because the goal was never to be the most funniest one or the most perfect one in the class. Imperfections is what makes us human, is what connects us. So, yes, that's worth a little cringe, and our socials are on screen. You can send us your memes. Ms. Kamal, any closing remarks? Ooh, Miss Kamal, I think you're muted.
Oh yeah, I'm hoping I'm audible now. So I was saying that the goal is that our classroom, where the students feel seen, where their language, where their memes, their humor, their references, their culture is treated as knowledge worth having, where it needs to be taken seriously and not just like a joke, pun intended, where they stop consuming and they start authoring, and that is worth a little bit of cringe. What do you say, Simar?
Absolutely, and I'm not afraid of being cringe at all. I'm not the perfectionist. I mean, yeah, while I'm doing work, sometimes I might be a perfectionist, but that's okay. I'm also very cringe, and I'm also very human, and that's what makes humor so impeccable. So go ahead, memify your life, memify your curriculums, and try to build a more connected society. That's more than required today, especially in today's time. So that's it. So, yeah, that's all. That's all I'm going to close on. I hope I didn't cringify anything.
Wow. Thank you so much for joining us, Kamal and Simar. I'm actually fascinated. You shared a lot about resistance, teaching with humor, comics, taxonomy of memes, and how to actually build them. The website that you shared, I never heard of it before. I even have people in the chat posting that this is the first time they hear about it. And the way you closed up this session, try to build a more connected society. It's very inspiring. So thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your expertise. We truly appreciate it. And moving on, at the moment, I'd like to share that at the moment, I'm going to be putting one of our amazing leader for the whole Global Impact team under the spotlight. It's not a spotlight stories that we pre-recorded. It's putting her on live right now with me under the spotlight. So Kayla Holland, welcome and thank you for joining me.
Hi, thanks for on.
Yes, we're going to be discussing a little bit some of the amazing thoughts or ideas we have. I want to take us back to the beginning, actually. What was the exact moment or trigger that inspired you to take action and actually start Global Impact as an initiative?
Oh man, I mean, coming after Kamal and Simar is no easy feat. That was such an incredible session. I've been furiously taking notes over here. So I I am the organizer of our team. That's what I like to call myself. We have a great team, Rowan. As you know, there's 17 of us who have been working furiously for a while to start Global Impact and prepare for today. But I didn't really start it. It started as the Global Collaboration Network. Michael Harvey was in that group. Margaret McGinnis, who's in the chat right now, she was in that group. She was the leader when I started. And this was, I'm going to get all the dates wrong here, but I joined Global Collaboration Network, I think it was 7 years ago. So a long time. And the goal was really this. It was just getting global educators together. And at that time, they were doing a day like this, and I can't remember what it was called, but Tara Linney was involved, and it was 17 hours of content. And so this was, I think they'd been doing it for a long time, and I joined the team, like I said, 7 or 8 years ago. And it was part of the ISTE community. And then ISTE kind of put all of our communities together into one kind of community leader program. And I really felt like the global group lost its voice in a sense. And so Margaret and I are friends, and I just said, hey, I think we need more global voices in the world in general. And this is so 3 years ago, it kind of started, we like to say, on a hope and a prayer with just like, I think global educators need a voice in this space. And so how do we get people together around the world? And so obviously that's a virtual program. And so we've started 3 years ago. We planned it so fast. I don't know how we ever went live. Members of the team who've been with me since then will probably say the same thing. But this is our 3rd year, and it's incredible. We have an amazing lineup today of just incredible educators from around the world sharing things they're passionate about. And I really love our theme this year about elevating human stories. That's kind of been a long time coming from a lot of our people in our organizing team, just really desiring to share that. So I did not technically start the idea. Global Impact began a long time ago as the Global Collaboration Network, but we've been in existence as Global Impact, as what you see today, for 3 years. And it really was just a brainstorm. Like, we just need a space for global voices to come together and appreciate education happening around the world.
And I can see it's growing year by year, actually.
Yes.
I mean, for me, this is my 2nd year with Global Impact, and I haven't been happier, or even like, I feel like I'm seen more, I have a voice more, and I'm kind of proud to represent my country as well. So it's really amazing to be part of this amazing community and to get inspired from you guys. You do amazing work, which takes me to the second question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So our focus today is on scaling meaningful solutions across the globe. Okay, elevating human stories. This is our theme. And so with what you do locally, you have a huge impact locally, I believe. So how does the deeply local impact you are making in individual state facilities translate into a broader global vision for educational change? Would love to hear.
You know, I think that's a really interesting question, because, you know, I'm often kind of divided in my work sometimes. Like, I really am passionate about global education, but I live in the United States and I work with students in the juvenile justice system. And I'm also very passionate about that work. And so they don't often collide, you know, together. It's like I'm one person in the day working with juvenile justice kids and one person at night working with my global group. But it really is just being who you are. If you are a passionate person and you are, our whole theme is elevating human stories, right? So you're a passionate person and you're wanting to make meaningful change in the world. You can do that where you are, in your school, in your day job, as we call it, or you can do that around the world through things like this. So my impact locally is the same as it is globally, I hope, because I try to be the same person. But at the end of the day, my work is all about, or my passion is all about, giving people voices, amplifying their voices, giving them space to share their voices and make sure that people's work is seen. And I do that with my kids in the juvenile justice system, as well as trying to do that here with Global Impact. So I feel like that's my local and global impact, is really just trying to make sure unheard voices are valued and given space.
Exactly. I feel like most of the industries have been highlighted in different areas, but the education industry, like what we do right now, puts a big highlight of who we are, what is our impact, and how we are affecting change locally or even globally. And if we don't do such conferences, then nobody would know what we actually do. And I know, again, about your podcast as well. I watched all of your podcasts recently, and I was so inspired because it was the first time for me to explore your story with juvenile justice, and it was a first for me, honestly. And it also connected to what I do in my global setting. I teach at an international school where in one class I would have 10 different nationalities or even more. And you talked about social emotional learning applied to my context as well. So Again, thank you so much for always highlighting or creating that space for global educators, or to even sharing your expertise with the audience.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
Third question I have for you. As we launch our live sessions today, we just accomplished our first presenters, amazing audience, amazing outcomes from it. What is one piece of advice you have for the educators tuning in who want to start solving systematic problems in their own communities?
You don't give me easy questions here, Rowan. Some of these are pretty tricky. Systemic problems usually begin with people, right? So people have created policies that are in place that have always been there, and no one knows why. That's my favorite question. So part of my work in my day job, as we've been calling it, is going into juvenile justice facilities and just asking a lot of questions. Why are kids not going to school? Why are, just really getting into the heart of what's happening in the facility. And I love asking why, because most of the time people can give me a basic response. And then if you ask why again, it's like, well, I don't really know. And then you ask why again. So it kind of gets down to this idea that every single thing, every policy, every systemic issue, every positive or negative thing taking place started somewhere with a person, with a human being saying, I want to do something, so let's put this policy in place, or, something like that. So because our systemic issues begin with people, I think we need to lead with empathy. I don't think we can come into a situation and really put our own mindset on it immediately. A lot of my global work began, I lived and worked in Haiti for a while before my work with juvenile justice. And I learned a lot through that experience about not necessarily diminishing your culture, but as an American, as someone from the United States, I cannot go into another country, especially like Haiti, and tell them everything you're doing is wrong and you should do everything the way I think you should do it because this is what I'm familiar and comfortable with, right? So it's almost like you have to come in with empathy and respect for other people, keeping dignity at the forefront, right? And just asking a lot of questions. So I don't think that's one answer, but that's kind of my multifaceted response. It takes a lot to really handle systemic issues. And I think in order for us to really do that well, we have to lead with empathy and curiosity. We have to ask a lot of questions, and we have to put ourselves, diminish ourselves a little bit so that we're retaining the culture of the program that we're working with, if that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense, actually. And the third one you mentioned, diminishing ourselves a little bit, this is the hardest part in leadership qualities, actually.
Yeah.
And rarely we find leaders who have that quality, actually. And you put it in the right way, honestly. Anyway, I don't want to take more from your time. I want to thank you so much for joining me. Yeah. It was a pleasure to hear from your expertise. And you guys, this is Kayla Holland. Thank you so much.
Oh, man, you're silly. Thanks so much, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Thanks again for joining this live session as part of the Global Impact Virtual Conference. From our whole global team, we are so grateful for your participation. Please continue with us today at Global Impact by joining the next live session. You can find more information about all our live sessions on our website, globalimpacteducators.org. Our next presenters are Ossian, Kent, Amia, and Mohammed from Students for Innovation with Alana Winnick from the United States, and the session begins at the top of the hour. We'd also like to invite you to join us at the 2026 ISTE and ASCD conference. Whether you are joining live or virtually, we will have content for you. We will have sessions and a group meetup. Make sure to follow us on social media for more information about this. We also have a discount code that we posted in the chat, and I'd like you to check the discount code in the chat of this YouTube live. By May 1st, make sure to use this code to register for the $25 off a virtual registration. And we would like to thank a lot ISTE and ASCD for this little gem. Lastly, follow us on the social media platforms that we are displaying right now on the screen. We are on most major channels, so you can check them out with our handle. You can also find us on our website. Again, it's globalimpacteducators.org. All of our social media icons are at the bottom of the page. You can just follow us there. And thank you for joining us again. See you at the top of the hour for the next session.